morning, everyone. They told me to be brief. I have 2 minutes, so I will, because I know we have some pretty important people here, including all of you. My name is Logan Herring. I'm the CEO of the work group, The Warehouse for East Riverside and Kingswood Community Center. We are overseeing a $300 million revitalization of the Riverside neighborhood. It's a purpose-built community, including 600 new mixed-income homes. We are fundraising to build a new $42 million Kingswood Community Center. And here, which I consider my baby, is the Warehouse, which is a state-of-the-art teen center that was designed for teens by teens. And at the Warehouse, we have a fully electric bus, which you'll get to tour later and hear more about. When we were introduced to this opportunity through our partners with Delmarva and Exelon and Denrec, we pursued it, and we were able to pull off acquiring this bus that allows us to transport teens through and out the city of Wilmington and to the Warehouse, because we understand that transportation is a huge barrier for the youth in our community. And as they say, a black male community leader, it gives me great honor and privilege to have Administrator Regan here as the first black male in his position. So this is a huge deal. This is a huge day to be able to highlight our efforts. And please give it up for him. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce the man that made this possible, U.S. Senator Tom Carper.
Thanks, Logan. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Great to see you. Welcome, father of Matthew, husband of Malvina, son of North Carolina. My wife's from North Carolina, and we knew him before he was the secretary, or rather the administrator for EPA. Been admiring him from afar, and now we get to admire him up close and personally. So thanks so much for coming to Delaware. Nice to be here with Chris Coons and Lisa Rochester, our Congresswoman. And I walked in this building about 10 years ago, and this was Prestige Academy. It was the first all-male charter school, and it was predominant almost entirely for African-American boys. And I mentored one of them for a number of years and have just wonderful memories of being here. I have equally wonderful memories coming back, see what has happened at this place, and it's sort of like transformed, like reworked, and but a new role. I am delighted to be able to welcome Michael Regan to the first state today. And this morning we're here touring Teen Warehouse to learn about their electric bus and vehicle-to-grid program. I saw David Weir here earlier. And some of you may have seen David. David celebrated David celebrated his 90th birthday last week. And there's another woman here. Where's Ashley? Where's Ashley? She's Ashley's standing back there. They're about the same age. But Ashley used to be my executive assistant and scheduler. She's coming to keep me on schedule. And David, I just want to say thank you for everything that you've done with your life, continue to do with your life. I said to David, when I'm David, when I'm 90 years old, I hope I know who I am and where I am. And he said, I hope you do too. Well, in any event, happy birthday, Ash. And David, to you as well. I'm catching up with you, pal, but not very fast. We know that by investing in electric buses, we can meet our climate goals, clean the air that students breathe, and create good-paying jobs in Delaware and communities across our nation, not to mention to help save on our energy costs. Some 25 million kids a day ride a school bus to school. Over 90% of our nation's school buses use old, dirty technology that's bad for our kids' lungs and bad for our climate, and they don't get very good mileage either. The Postal Service is about to buy a bunch of new vehicles. They have about 230,000 vehicles. We want to buy a tranche of first 50,000 would be mostly diesel vehicles, and they're going to replace vehicles that are 25 years old. They'll replace them with vehicles that get an additional 0.4 miles per gallon. That's it. That's it. I remember I went to my Detroit Auto Show many years ago. I met Mary Barr there from General Motors, who's now the CEO of the company. And the day, it was 10 years ago, the car of the year that day was the Chevrolet Volt. Anybody here ever own a Chevrolet Volt? Lisa did. Chevrolet Volt. And the Chevrolet Volt's a hybrid. It got 38 miles on a charge. 38 miles on a charge. I drove up, and where's that red Tesla that I saw? Oh, there it is. We drove up in my red Tesla. Or Chris drove up in a red Tesla. I was her passenger. And it gets 300 miles on a charge. That's just the difference in 3 years. When you look what they're doing in the Postal Service and what they want to do, go from, I want to see, like, I think it's 6.2 to 6.6 miles per gallon, and that's it. That's awful. And look what we're able to do just in the last 10 years with respect to electric vehicles. Those inefficient, dirty school buses that many of us rode on years ago are an enormous financial burden for our schools in terms of energy costs, especially now as Americans continue to feel the pinch of Putin gas price spike. Fortunately, cleaner and more efficient school buses are a reality, like the electric vehicle to grid technology we're going to see today, something David's been very much involved in, and are made and provided by American companies. Some of those companies are represented here today. I don't have time to introduce them all. But if you're a company and you know who you are, just raise your hand. So let's put our hands together for them. Since 2008, EPA has funded clean school buses through a program called the Diesel Emission Reduction Act, legislation that George Voinovich and I authored and introduced. And from the day we introduced it to the day it was signed into law by the president was 39 days. It's the fastest moving bill I've ever seen in all my years in public life. The Diesel Emission Reduction Act has been a great tool to address all types of dirty buses, including the ones that our kids take to school, but has only been able to scratch the surface in terms of what we need. That's why we fought to include $5 billion in grants for the purchase of electric school buses across our country as part of the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law the President signed into law last November, and that Shelley Kaplan and I, and as the leaders of the Environment and Public Works Committee, had the privilege of helping to write. And we're proud of the role that our committee played in that process. But in addition to $5 billion for electric school buses, the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law included a reauthorization of our nation's highway law written by our committee. And we added the first ever highway bill climate provisions and added more than $18 billion to deploy electric vehicles charging and to curb harmful greenhouse gas emissions. These investments will make it possible for nonprofits like the Warehouse and schools here in Delaware and throughout our country to access cleaner transportation options. That's good for our health, that's good for our environment, and it's good for our local economy. It's a win, win, win. I'm also thankful to Administrator Regan for his leadership and for working so closely with my EPW team and those of us in the Congress to come up with a law that's already making a difference here in the first state and frankly across the country. And although the climate investments made in the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law are historic, more must be done to confront the climate crisis, and done quickly. Our work continues to bring down harmful climate emissions, clean up the air we breathe, and create good-paying, clean energy jobs. We're working hard to deliver investments in that bright future. So we thank our friends here at the Warehouse. Logan, we thank you for your leadership here, my friend. And now I'm going to turn it over to a great leader who's outstanding. It says he's doing outstanding work to clean up our air and our water. It says here he's protecting the health of our nation, safeguarding our planet for our future generations. Let me just say, he's one hell of a leader. He was in North Carolina, and he is here. And the other thing, that he's able to work with Democrats and Republicans in the Congress to get things done. And he's helped lead not just North Carolina, but he's been part of, the EPA in the past. He's done all kinds of stuff. And we're just thrilled that he's here today. Thanks so much for coming. And welcome to the Warehouse in Wilmington, Delaware. Thank you. Marvin Ministry.
Well, thank you, Senator Carper, for that kind introduction. And I truly appreciate the Senator's leadership, his friendship, and all of his years of service, you know, dating back to serving his country in Vietnam, the governor's mansion.
With your dad.
With my father.
His father.
And now the halls of Congress. And even with all of those accolades, after meeting Martha, I still maintain she's a star of the family. Senator Coons, it's great to be with you today and see you, and thank you for your tremendous leadership. And Congresswoman Blunt Rochester, it's so wonderful to join you in your district, and thank you for your leadership as well. It's also great to be joined by Region 3 alumni, Secretary Garvin. It's so good to see you in the back. And Logan, thank you so much for your leadership, your steadfast leadership. It's important that these teens and all of our community members have leaders and role models like yourself. So thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here in Delaware at the Teen Warehouse. What an outstanding organization. I'm so impressed by the work that we're seeing here today, and hopefully we can use this as a beacon of light to get projects like this done all across the country. This is a mission we share at the United States EPA, ensuring that all of our people in this country have a healthier, safer future to look towards. Nearly every aspect of the work that we do at the Environmental Protection Agency impacts our youth in some way. Every day, as the Senator mentioned, millions of children and teens ride the bus to and from school. For many, it's a quintessential part of being a kid in America. But traditional vehicles that rely on internal combustion engines emit toxic pollutants that expose our children to danger each and every day. Not only are these pollutants harmful to the environment, but they are harmful to our children's health. You know, we've come a long way from the early days of the horse-drawn carriages. But folks, now is once again time to reimagine what riding the school bus means for our children. Transitioning to a clean transportation future means cleaner air and less pollution. It means healthier kids and fewer school days missed. And it means good-paying American manufacturing and good-paying American jobs. Zero-emission school buses can and will be the American standard. Thanks to President Biden, Vice President Harris's leadership, as well as the partners that we have sitting here to my left on the stage today, the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law will help accelerate this reality. The Infrastructure Law invests an unprecedented $5 billion, billion with a B, for low and zero emission school buses. And we're looking forward to announcing the first phase of this funding later in the month. This historic investment will transform how millions of children get to and from school. It will help clean the air we breathe, protect public health, and also help us tackle the climate crisis. It will help build a better America by sending a strong signal to industry and communities that low and zero emission vehicles are the future. We're going to build that future together. So folks, let's get to work. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Senator Coons.
Thank you, Administrator. It is a genuine blessing to have you with us here in Delaware and to have your leadership in Washington as we have had your leadership earlier in North Carolina. And Logan, I am so grateful to be with you and to everybody who is helping revitalize and reimagine the future of this community. The Energize the Warehouse initiative that we're here to recognize and celebrate is a wonderful partnership between Delmarva Power and Exelon, DENREC, and the University of Delaware. And to DENREC Secretary Sean Garvin, thank you for your leadership previously as EPA Region 3 Administrator and that you're now bringing to the state of Delaware. Providing a cleaner, safer, more sustainable future and better quality jobs for folks who live all over our state and our country, but in particular in this immediate neighborhood, is a key part of the Energize the Warehouse initiative. I just had a chance to ride up from the Glasgow research site of Air Liquide. And as we were driving, Danny was sharing with me that he lives just off the Port of Los Angeles. And there's a simple insight here that's relevant to what the Administrator just said. He drove a truck for years. His wife would wash his clothes separately because they smelled so bad. He and his kids all have asthma. Now, the port was the source of great employment and great opportunity, but it was also, over a long time, the source of great harm. Chairman Carper has been fighting for cleaner air and for less asthma in our nation's children for years. He has been a champion of lower emission heavy trucks and school buses for years. And finally, in this bipartisan infrastructure bill, we have $5 billion for low and zero emission school buses. Please give Chairman Carper a round of applause to thank him and recognize him for his leadership on this. what we have behind us is an example of this new generation of zero-emission vehicles. They are expensive to deliver and develop and deploy at scale, and that's why we need this grant funding. We need partnership with industry that does the research and the innovation and the design. We need new job opportunities and new skills for folks to service these buses. But ultimately, we will see the realization of a future where children get to go to school safely in a bus that is silent and where the only thing it emits, hopefully, is either water, if it's a fuel cell bus, or nothing if it has gotten its electricity from hydro. So I think it is possible for all of us, whether it's wind or solar or hydro, to have a clean future. Who else rode the bus to school when you were a kid? I rode the bus to elementary school. I got to tell you, when that thing took off, it left behind a delightful scent that lasted with you quite a while. Here's to a future where when the bus picks up our kids and takes them to school, they're safe, but they can also breathe the air that's left behind. Thank you, and I believe it's my honor to introduce my friend and colleague, Congresswoman Lisa Blunt Rochester.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Every time I'm at the Teen Warehouse, it is a good morning. So I am just pleased to be here. And I want to thank Logan and everyone who works and supports the Teen Warehouse for your efforts. Mr. Administrator, I will tell you, everything everyone has said is true, right, and great. But what's exciting to me is for us in Delaware to show off the Teen Warehouse this morning. So I'm going to show off the Teen Warehouse. Now, we are fortunate because we have some great champions. Senator Coons drove in on a hydrogen fuel cell powered truck. So you know he's a hydrogen champion. Senator Carper has been a champion for the environment and for our state for years, but also at this moment has been a real leader in bipartisan work in doing things, as we talked about, that will be lasting and sustainable and not just temporary. So we salute him. And then we have Secretary Garvin, like we have the all-star team, But I want to talk a minute about the Teen Warehouse and why it's so special. We talk about this bus that's behind us, but if you look on the ceiling, there are solar panels. So we're talking about the creation of energy and storage of that energy right here at the Teen Warehouse. If you go around this corner, you're going to see an ag pod. We're talking about vertical agriculture, growing things in a way that's sustainable, economical, efficient, a way that will also create jobs. And as the former Secretary of Labor in Delaware, y'all know when I hear beep, 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 I'm like, yeah, somebody's working. That's a good thing. And so this is about jobs as well. But I did want to say, as we tour, you'll get a chance to see and hear more, that this is especially about our youth and about this generation. And I brought with me a little show and tell. Look, somebody said, uh-oh. So for some of us, when we were coming up, we talked about ecology. We didn't talk about climate change and sustainability and things like that. We talked about ecology. And there was a movement. And there was a guy named Woodsy the Owl. Anybody remember? I know some of you remember this person who said, give a hoot, don't pollute. Give a hoot. I heard a couple. Yeah, you remember the give a hoot, don't pollute. Look, got the hands up. As a young person, this was an inspiration to me. Some of the people who talked about our earth and our planet. But to see these young people today, they're not just picking up litter. They're picking up technology. They're creating jobs. They're saving the planet and they're advocating for it. They are the ones that have pushed us to do the work that we're doing at record speed. And so today we move from give a hoot, don't pollute, to the Teen Warehouse that empowers teens, that basically says this is for you, by you, but will help all of us. And so, yes, I got some claps in the back for our teens. So, Mr. Administrator, we welcome you to Delaware. We have a lot to be proud of and a lot to show off, and I'm glad you're starting here at the Teen Warehouse, because this is also about the future of our country. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So I believe that is it for our program. I want to thank you again, EPA Administrator Regan, our entire congressional delegation, for your continued support. Someone said, Senator Coons, you spend so much time here, we're going to have to charge you rent. About $10 million in rent.
Yes, sir.
Everybody gets that joke?
Paid in full.
Paid in full. And our Congresswoman spent so much time here, we just named a dance studio after her. So you'll see that on the tour. Senator Carper, thank you again for your leadership. And thank you all for being here. For those of you who are sticking around for the tour, please enjoy. And before I go, I just want to recognize my tremendous colleagues at my staff at the work group. So if you are in the audience, thank you for putting this together so quickly. And to our boards, I see our board chair for Reach Riverside, our illustrious leader of the Women's and Housing Authority, who's also on the executive committee for Reach Riverside's board, Ray Fitzgerald, Charlie McDowell, thank you for being here, and everyone else. Enjoy the rest of your day, and for those of you sticking around for the tour, enjoy the tour. Aaron Bass, I see you as well, #1 Dallas Cowboys fan, and also CEO of Eastside Charter School. So have a blessed day. Thank you, everybody, for being here.
Thank you.